May 28th, 2023. My name is Douglas Griffin. If you haven't joined us before, I want you to know that we are going through the book of Exodus. We started in Genesis 1, Exodus 1. We go through chapter by chapter, verse by verse to get a better understanding of the word. And thank you for being patient this morning, just running behind. So, God has brought them to Mount Sinai. He has taken them from Egypt, and he is reacclimating the nation of Israel to what it's like to serve a real God. Because for 200 years or more, they've been in Egypt, and they've been serving, or at least being taught, the gods of Egypt. He's introducing himself to them, and he's trying to teach worship to them, and explain the difference that comes when you've created your own gods and when you serve an actual living God. And so he's creating visual examples. Since they don't have a Bible, he's using the temple, the tabernacle that he's having them create. He's using today the robes and how the priests are dressed to teach the lesson. He's using the furniture in the temple. All that's to be part of the lesson. We don't need our temple today to be exactly like that. But Exodus, there we go. So things are slightly different today because we do have the Bible. So it's not as important that there be stones and gems and this be of linen and this be of wool, and because we have his actual word written down. There are a few things we want. In principle, though, we want to do similar things, right? So in Exodus chapter 28, we'll start with verse 1. He's explained the furniture of the temple and what it represents. And now he's explaining, here's how, I call this dress for success. Here's how the priest should be dressed, and here's what it all means. I'm telling you what it all means. In Exodus chapter 28, verse 1 and 2, it says, "Now take Aaron your brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister me as priest. Aaron and Aaron's sons," and he names them, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, Ithamar. So the four of them. We know that Nadab and Abihu are not about to in a few seconds, but pretty soon, are going to do some pretty dumb things that's going to eliminate them as priests. God already knows this, but he always gives us the opportunity. And then he gives a test that reveals to us who we are. We go, oh, this is why I'm failing this class. So that's the purpose of the test, always is to show us where we're at. It's not for the teacher to discover, because the teacher's been watching. It's for us to discover and go, oh. So Nadab and Abihu are about to discover who they are. But he gives them all the same opportunity. So take Aaron, your four sons. Verse 2 says, "And you shall make holy garments for Aaron, your brother, for glory and for beauty." And again, the purpose of the garment is, in God's eyes, to separate the priests from the people, because they need a concept of a holy God. The gods of Egypt are angry, vengeful, and petty, and capricious, and are human in how they act, because humans created them. And they don't know how to create gods that are different than themselves. The gods that we've created are just like ourselves. And we think, no, God doesn't mind if we do this, and God doesn't care about that. And God, yes, he does. And God's trying to show the difference, because we need to become like him if we're going to survive. So he has to show a difference. But he has to also show a path toward him, how that we can be like him. Most children are unsuccessful when the adults in their lives, where they don't see a difference. It's important for the adults to connect, for the children to feel loved, um, to feel they have certain things in common. But but there's a childishness that children are supposed to have because they're kids, and a pettiness and an anger and a poutiness. If the adults are doing the same thing, if they see the adults acting in the exact same way and being petty and they have nothing to aspire to. You want to see, oh, look, that adult handled that situation differently than me. If that had happened to me, I would have cried and pouted and stomped around. But they said, you know what, God's going to handle this, or we'll worry about that later. Or they handled it in an adult way. They said, you shouldn't be afraid of that. Don't worry. That's not real. See, uh, that gives them something, oh, when I grow up, I want to be like that because I can see a difference. So God is trying to create the difference. He says, and you shall make holy garments, verse 2 again, for your Aaron and your brother, for glory and for beauty. So these are the two things that will be established, glory and beauty. I want them to receive honor. I want it to be honorable position to be. So I'm going to design these robes so that these robes that they wear, these garments that they wear, so they feel honored. The people will want to honor them, but also beauty. Their robes match the aesthetic of the tabernacle. And God wants people to be awed, like, oh, that's so beautiful. We're supposed to look at nature, supposed to look at waterfalls and the mountains and the stars and certain things. And go, oh, it's so beautiful. God wants that. Oh, he wants us to swoon over how beautiful it is also, right? That feeling like, oh. And so he says for glory and for beauty. In 1 Chronicles 16, David describes a very similar thing. 1 Chronicles 16, verse 28, it says, give to the Lord, O families of the people. Give to the Lord glory and strength. That's not glory and beauty, that's glory and strength. I want you to see that he has power and glory and majesty, so you honor him in that way because of his power. Then in verse 29 of 1 Chronicles 16, it says, give to the Lord the glory due his name. Bring an offering and come before him. There's a certain respect you need to have before him and understanding the difference. And you bring an offering because you're so grateful that he's allowed you to live today. Bring an offering. It's a thank you as gratefulness. He says, oh, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness also. Tremble before him, swoon, all the earth. The world is also firmly established, and it shall not be moved. But I want all the citizens of the earth to tremble and go, oh, just in awe of how beautiful and how different he is than we are. So not just the strength, but the beauty, both things he's trying to establish in the garments. So here's how he's doing it. Exodus chapter 28, verse 3. So you shall speak to all who are gifted artisans, whom I am filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister to me as a priest. So the people I've gifted in this way, use them to help create these garments. Verse 4, Exodus 28, verse 4. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, an ephod, a robe, a tunic, and a turban, and a sash. Now, breastplate is a bad translation. An ornament. The breastplate and the ephod go over the robe, like vestments that go over the robe. The tunic is underneath the robe. There's a turban and a sash. So they shall make holy garments for Aaron, your brother, and his sons, that he may minister to me as priest. So let me go each one. First, the ephod, and describe what it is. In Exodus chapter 28, verse 5, it says, they shall take the gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread. This is the wool. And fine linen. So I want, even though the word thread doesn't appear there, when they say gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet wool that they've dyed these colors, and linen, right? You're going to mix wool and linen, and they shall make the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet wool, and fine woven linen artistically worked. and it's like a vest that goes over you. You've seen choirs march in who have these vestments on, so it goes over the robe. Now, here's interesting about him saying I needed to be of wool and linen. In Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 11, he tells the people, you shall not wear a garment of different sorts, such as wool and linen mixed together. So people get this confused because, wait, I thought you're not supposed to mix wool and linen. He's not against it like it's evil. He's saying, I want to make the priests separate. So don't you make clothing to imitate that. Don't you do that for your regular clothes, because it's important that they be separate, that it be considered a holy thing, that because they're going to walk into the tabernacle and into my presence, and I need you to feel like I've got to be different than I can't be vulgar, and there's a certain attitude that you would have when you come before a president or a king, that I want you to have that attitude when you come before my presence, because so that you understand that we are different, that I'm trying to connect with you, but I'm trying to create a picture of holiness in your head, something to strive for. So I want to dress the priest this way. Don't you dress that way. So he's not against wool and linen. He's just saying, don't you dress this way. And in fact, so the linen represents God, the wool represents us, and he's mixing it together. He says, but don't you do that. You can wear one or the other, but don't mix it. That's a priestly garment. Now, about 600 years later, 600 or 700 years later, the people have sinned so badly, and the priests have sinned so badly, in fact, led the people into rebelling against God, that God changes their garment. Okay, priest, I'm going to have to dress you differently now. So in Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 10, Ezekiel is writing the new rules of how you need to dress in the temple. It says, and the Levites who went far from me, these are the bad ones, when Israel went astray, who strayed away from me after their idols, they shall bear their iniquity. The consequences have to come up on them. There's going to be some changes made. You did bad, and so it's important to see consequences. Otherwise, we think, oh, that must have been okay to do. So it's important to have consequences. Yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, but there's got to be some difference now. As gatekeepers of the house and ministers of the house, they shall slay the burnt offering and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister to them. So the ones who went astray, you're going to be the ones who are guarding the gates. You'll be the ones who are slaying the animals, and you'll minister to the people on the outside. But as far as coming inside, the tabernacle, that's going to be a different story. It says, so you're going to minister to the people. Verse 12 says, because they ministered to them before their idols and caused the house of Israel to fall into iniquity. So I need you to do it this time, but do it right, because you're the ones that drove the people astray. So now you're going to minister to those same people, but you're going to do it differently. So therefore I have raised my hand in an oath against them because of all the bad stuff you did to the people, says the Lord God. They shall bear your iniquity. You're going to bear the consequences. And they shall not come near me to minister to me as a priest. So you stay outside the tabernacle, stay outside the temple. You're going to minister to the people. I'm not taking away all of your duties, but there has to be a difference now. Nor come near any of my holy things, nor into the most holy place, but they shall bear their shame and their abominations which they have committed. This is your punishment. You have to say, yeah, we were bad. We led the people astray into idolatry. Verse 14, this is Ezekiel 44. Nevertheless, I will make them keep charge of the temple for all its work, and for all that has to be done in it. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, who did keep charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me. So that group, here's what I'm going to do for you. They shall come to me to minister to me, and they shall stand before me to offer to me the fat and the blood. So they'll be able to come inside and offer the offering. You guys stay outside. You kill the offering. They get to come inside to my holy place. Verse 14 says, they shall enter my sanctuary, and they shall come near my table to minister to me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall be whenever they enter the gates of the inner court that they shall put on linen garments. No wool shall come upon them when they minister within the gates of the inner court or within the house. So again, linen represents God, the wool represents the people. He initially created garments that had both because he's saying, see, there's a mixture. What he's trying to teach them is that we can be one. They were taught the gods, who aren't real, are way out there, and they never talked to men because they couldn't, because they were just idols they had made. But God's saying, no, I want to come down and talk with you. I want us to join together. So I'm represented by linen, you're represented by cotton, and the priests, they're the mediator between. They'll wear garments that are both cotton and linen, and they'll come in. At this point, when everybody was sinning, okay, so the priests who didn't sin, just wear linen, because I've got to create a difference again. So you'll just wear linen. You see, they shall have on linen turbans, verse 18. On their heads, linen trousers, on their body, they shall not clothe themselves with anything that causes sweat. That's wool. When they go out to the outer court, to the people, they shall take off their garments in which they have ministered, leave them there, leave them in the holy chambers, and put on other garments. And in their holy garments, they shall not sanctify the people. So I need to create a difference because the people got to the point where they didn't respect me again, where they lost faith in me. They were just acting crazy in my presence. They don't, which is about to come up, as we know. Moses is up on the mountain getting all these instructions. Moses is going to come down in 4 chapters, and the people have created an idol, and the cloud is right there, but somehow it's not sinking into the people. Like we think, oh, God can't see me. I'm in the liquor store. God can't see me, so I can do whatever I want. I can see you. So he says, somehow you got it mixed up. So I need to create that separation again so you understand that I'm holy. But that's like 600 years from now. Right now, he's trying to create that unity and saying we can be one. The priests are going to be the mediator between you, how sinful and crazy and nutty you are, and me. Now, obviously, he's ultimately creating the image of the mediator Christ who's going to come, right, to mediate between God and man, which is why we don't have to worry about wearing linen and cotton and all that stuff anymore. Those ceremonial laws are done away with because Christ went ahead and completed those ceremonies for us. So we don't do the same things anymore. But he's trying to paint a picture for them. In Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 21 says, no priest shall drink wine when he enters the inner court. I don't want you drunk because you get too much wine. You're just not doing it right. You got out of control. And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and the unholy. This is verse 22. And cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean, which they lost that. They had lost that. They didn't see any difference. Initially, he's trying to create it. That's why you're in wool, I'm in linen, and the priests get to wear both. But I need you to know there's a difference, but I also need you to know there's a possibility of mediation. So that's why the priests, you get to wear wool and linen. Nobody else, though. Okay, back to Exodus chapter 28, verse 9. Then you shall take 2 onyx stones and engrave them on the names of the sons of Israel. Engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel. So you're going to, Levi, Judah, Issachar, anyway, whatever their names are, wink and blink and a nod. You put their names on the stones, and then the stones go on the shoulders of the vest to hold the front and the back panels together. So it says 6 of their names on one stone and 6 names on the other stone in order of their birth. Verse 11 says, and with the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet ring, you shall engrave the 2 stones with the names of the sons of Israel, and you shall set them in settings of gold, and you shall put the 2 stones on the shoulders of the ephod. Remember, ephod's like a vest that they're wearing, as memorial stones for the sons of Israel. So Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord on his 2 shoulders as a memorial. So when Aaron comes in to minister to me once a year to atone that once a year offering that happened, to atone for the sins of the people and the attitude of the people, it's like you're going to be there. Your names will be engraved in those stones, and you'll be brought into my presence in that way. Okay, then the breastplate, which again, breastplate is the wrong, the ornamental thing, it's because it goes on top of the robe, and it's a little longer than the ephod. It's about twice as long. So it says, you shall make the breastplate, and really it's because it went on the breast of the person. The ephod on the shoulders representing strength, the breastplate representing the heart. but they should have said plate because it wasn't a plate. Artistically woven, this is verse 15, according to the workmanship of the ephod, you shall make it gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, which is wool, and fine woven linen you shall make it. So it's the same material, same colors that I'm painting the tabernacle. It says it should be doubled into a square. So it's twice as long, and when you double it, when you fold it over, it's a square. So it's a span long, which is the span from the elbow to the hand. A cubit was the elbow all the way to the tips of the fingers. So it's 12 inches long, 12 inches wide, but actually it's 24 inches wide. So, but you'll double it over because you're creating a pouch. It really should be translated the breast pouch because it's just a pouch that you're wearing. Oh, so verse 16 says it should be doubled into a square. A span shall be its length, and a span shall be its width. So it's 12 inches wide, 12 inches long when you fold it. And you shall put settings of stone in it, 4 rows of stones. And these stones each represent the names of the tribe, but that's why it's a pouch. The first row shall be a sardius, topaz, and an emerald, 4 rows of 3. This shall be the first row. The second row shall be turquoise, sapphire, and diamond. The third row is a jacinth, an agate, and amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. So it's 12 stones. They shall be set in gold settings, and the stones shall have the names of the sons of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet ring. Each one with its own name, there should be according to 12 tribes. So that is on the heart. It's as a pouch, and it's around the heart. The ephod's on the shoulders. The stone, their names are on the shoulders, representing power and strength, because in their minds, you carry things on your shoulders. That's where your strength was. So representing both things, the strength of God and the heart of God. When the priests go in there, they'll be taking you with them because your names are going to be on these stones. Exodus chapter 28, verse 29. So Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel on the breastplates of judgment over his heart, right? And when he goes into the holy place as a memorial before the Lord continually, so on the shoulders and on the heart. And you shall put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be over Aaron's heart when he goes in before the Lord. So Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel over his heart before the Lord continually. So the judgment that they would have been judged had he not gone in to ask forgiveness, you're going to take their judgment in with you, all the sins that they've committed during the year, and in order to stop the judgment from coming up on the people, to be that umbrella so the rain doesn't hit them, right? You're going to take their judgment in, and then when the blood is laid on the altar, then they're forgiven. The Urim and the Thummim, the Urim and the Thummim, oh well. Anyway, are 2 stones that go on the ephod, and they will light up. And because if they need an answer from God, like one is a yes and one is a no, and so they will also administer God's judgments. They'll help the priest. It was a way of God communicating at the time because God could not be in them. It would kill them until Jesus died on the cross. If God was in someone, they would be dead. As soon as they sinned, so the Spirit of God could come up on certain people, but they had to be cleansed because he says, I'm a consuming fire. I'm going to burn you up. That's why I'm doing all this blood sacrifice stuff, so that I can communicate to you. But here's a better, easier way to communicate to you in case the priest is crazy. If you have a question, a big question comes up, one of these stones will light up to say yes, or the other one will light up to say no. And that's how you'll be able to detect my will. We don't have to worry about that anymore. The Holy Spirit lives inside of us. Jesus said, I'm going to be in you. I'm going to send that other comforter just like me. It's God in you. So now God can be in us, and we get a stop signal and a go signal in our own spirits. You're driving and some say, I just don't feel right. Something saying, don't do that. Or, oh, I felt such a peace about that today. I met this person, I just felt such a peace. That's the Urim and the Thummim in you, the direction of God, that yes or no. We all have that. No one can say, God's never spoken to me. Yes, you feel the Spirit of God in you. When you feel like, agitated, like maybe I shouldn't take one more drink or whatever it is. Or, I think I should go up to that person. I just feel drawn to that person. That's the yes. And you know what the no feels like. So God does speak to us. Now, other priestly garments. You shall make the robe, right? So the ephod and the breastplate, it should be the breast pouch, go on top of the robe, like a choir robe that has a sash on it or whatever you would call those things. You should make the robe of the ephod olive blue, right? God is blue, purple is in the middle, red represents the people. So the robe can be olive blue. And there shall be an opening for the head in the middle of it, duh, so that you can put it on. And it shall have a woven binding all around its opening, like the opening in a coat of mail, so that it doesn't tear. So God's very practical. And upon its hem, you shall make pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet all around the hem, and bells of gold between them all around. So it's going to be fruit and a bell, fruit and a bell, fruit and a bell, which kind of represents the fruit of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit, which I can talk about later. But a fruit and a bell all around. A golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate, it says, verse 34. So he's telling you how to do it, that they alternate upon the hem of the robe all around, and it shall be upon Aaron when he ministers, because Aaron's the only one, only the high priest got to go all the way into the Holy of Holies. The other priests got to be in the holy place, but only one priest once a year got to go in the Holy of Holies and stand before the presence of God. So it says, when Aaron goes in, it shall be upon Aaron when he ministers. And its sound will be heard when he goes into the holy place before the Lord and when he comes out, that he may not die. Now he's saying, if he's not dressed in this way, he'll die. He has to put on the robe and the ephod and the stones and the breast pouch and the turban. He has to do this with the problem. If he's not dressed properly, when he comes before the presence of God, it will kill him. God's telling that's the same thing to us. That's why we are now clothed in the righteousness of Jesus Christ. We can go before God's presence. We won't have to worry. On that day when the earth changes and the heavens open up and we're actually literally standing before the presence of God, and our spiritual eyes have been, the veil has been removed and we can see into the spirit world. Right now we get glimpses of it, but we'll be able to see face to face. We'll be able to stand before the presence of God and we won't burn up, we won't die. But until that time, standing in God's actual presence, not a messenger sent by God, but his actual presence, was death. So he says, Aaron's got to dress this way or he'll die. But you'll be able to hear him. So the people would stand outside and go, ooh, because they only wore this once a year. Oh, he's in there talking to God. I can hear him moving around, doing all the stuff he's supposed to do. Here's an example of this in the New Testament. Here's a high priest who went in. This is Elizabeth's husband went in. John the Baptist's daddy went in to the priest. It was his turn to be high priest that year. Once a year. By the time it got down to him, there were so many people who were eligible to do this thing that they would just be selected. Okay, you get to do it this year, then you get to do it that year. In the old days, somebody was high priest until they died. But now they had kids and they had kids and they had kids, and so they assigned it that way. So John the Baptist's daddy, Elizabeth's husband, Elizabeth is Mary's cousin. He's in their ministry in Luke chapter 1. Verse 8, it says, so it was that while he was serving as priest before God in the order of his division, meaning it was his turn, according to the custom of the priesthood, his lot fell to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. So it was his turn. He got to go in. And the whole multitude of the people were praying outside at the hour of incense. They're praying outside because they can now hear him moving around, doing all the things he's supposed to do. Ooh, he's in there interceding for us. So they're outside praying and they can hear him. They're praying for him that he does not die. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled and fear fell on him. Remember, because the angel's showing up to say, John the Baptist is about to be, but your wife Elizabeth is pregnant. Of course, he argues with him and actually says something crazy like, how would I even know that's possible? Which upset the angel because I'm Gabriel that just appeared to you. That's not enough sign. And it was different than Elizabeth saying, oh, wow, how's that going to happen? That's amazing. Like, literally, how's that going to happen? I'm interested to know, not I don't believe you. Because there's a difference between, ooh, how are you going to manage that? And how's that going to happen? Which is what he was giving him. So he's, but listen, when the angel showed up, he stopped moving because there's an angel there. He didn't keep doing incense. Okay, I'll get you in a minute. He stopped because there's a man in the holy of a holy place with him suddenly. So he's not moving. Uh, and so they're not hearing the bells anymore, and they're wondering outside if he's dead. That's why in verse 21 of Luke 1, it says, and the people waited for Zacharias because they didn't hear any movement for a long time. And they marveled that he lingered so long in the temple. Like, what was happening that you weren't, we didn't hear any sound? What were you doing? Why did it stop? We thought you were dead. The rabbis say there's that they would tie a rope. They said in the last couple hundred years, in between the book of Malachi, Malachi's the last book of the Old Testament, and Matthew's the first book. In between that time is 200 or 300 years, maybe 200 to 400 years time period in between. And there's no words from God. There's no prophecies. There's no nothing because the people were pretty bad. They were going through the motions at this time, but they got pretty bad. And so, if somebody didn't come out of the temple, I mean the Holy of Holies, and they never came out, you had to wait a year and then go in when it was your turn and get them out. So the rabbis say, it's not in the Bible, but it's because nothing was written during this time period, that they would tie a rope. So if the person went in there and never came out, they could drag them out because nobody can come in and get them. And then you just have a dead body for a year in there. So they would, so the rabbis say that's what they did during that time period. Anyway, so he's saying put pomegranates and bells so the people can hear you when you go in there. Exodus chapter 28, verse 36. And you shall also make a plate of pure gold and engrave on it like the engraving of a signet, and you shall put it on a blue cord that it may be on the turban. And so it's got to be pure gold. Again, God's stuff is gold, then silver's in the middle, and bronze represents the people. So he had three phases, right? So I want this on the turban. I want it with a blue cord so that when he's going on in there, his mind is on the things of God. That's what that represents. Verse 38, so it shall be on Aaron's forehead that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things with the children of Israel, hollow in all their holy gifts. He's bringing it in to me, but his mind is going to be, I'm bringing all this stuff. I'm bringing these stones in and these representing the people. I'm bringing their judgment before you, God, but my mind is on you. And it shall always be on his forehead that they may be accepted before the Lord, right? He has holy thoughts. Again, it's all symbolic to the people so they understand visually what's happening spiritually. We don't need this. We've got the Bible, but I need them to have a visual idea of what's happening now. Exodus chapter 28, verse 40 to 43, the last three verses, it says, for Aaron's sons you shall make tunics. The tunics go under the robes. And you shall make sashes for them, and you shall make hats for them, for glory and beauty. So I want you also to do this for Aaron's sons, not just for Aaron. Do the same thing for the sons. So you shall put them on Aaron, your brother, and on his sons with him. You shall anoint them and consecrate them and sanctify them that they may minister to me as priests. So they have to be separate. They have to understand you can't just have any sort of attitude. And you have to be obedient. You're doing a holy thing. I want you to keep thinking God is holy. That will prevent you from doing crazy stuff. And then I'm going to hover above the temple. And if you think, ooh, he's right there, maybe I won't stick this knife in my brother's shoulder, then that will help you from doing the crazy, dumb stuff you want to do. So I want you to consecrate the priest, go through this elaborate ceremony so that you see there's a difference in how I act and how you act. And I want you to ascribe to be like me, to think how I think. That's why I'm giving you these laws, because it will preserve your lives. Because the things that you want to do, that the flesh is leading you to do, is going to kill you. You're going to destroy each other if you follow the dictates of your flesh. But if you know that there's a holy God, that's what you're striving to be like, then perhaps that will help change your behavior. So I want to do everything I can to let you know I'm different than you, but we can join together. However, now this is the last funny thing that God puts in. It says, and you should make for them linen trousers. This is underwear. To cover their nakedness, they shall reach from the waist to the thighs, because you just can't go in there. So God invented underwear. Underwear wasn't a thing before this. But sometimes the altar, when the priests come out, Sometimes the altar is on the top of a hill. Sometimes it's, remember, he gave them this table, but the table might be raised up high. Um, they never, he never, because the tent was going to be moving, he never knew where the altar was going to end up. And when the priests are killing the animals and stuff like that, he can't have a wind blow and something crazy happen. He says, they shall be on Aaron, verse 33, and on his sons when they come into the tabernacle of the meeting and when they come near the altar to minister in the holy place, that they do not incur iniquity and die. So you got to wear underwear because I can't have a wind blowing up and showing you business and then I have to kill you. So it should be a statute forever to him and his descendants after him. Wear some underwear when you're doing through the altar because we can't have an incident and have everybody fall out. Amen. Amen. Okay, so that's into chapter 28. Today at my church, I'll be preaching the second half of the David and Goliath story. And so that's at 11 o'clock. Yeah, but I'll probably get to preach about 11:15 or so. And next, on Wednesdays, still in the book of John. It's the last maybe 5 or 6 hours of Jesus' life before he gets on the cross. So I appreciate everybody from tuning in. Found out Al Mary was listening every week. Saw her at a homegoing service yesterday. And so it's good to see her. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate that you take the time to listen in. I'm sorry we got started late today. And I'll see some of you next week, some of you on Wednesday, and some of you in an hour. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.